All right. How's it going?
Very good, thank you.
So, uh, talk to us about AI. You guys rebranded recently, huh?
We did earlier this year. We kind of had a soft launch. We rebranded for the last 25 plus years. We've been Affordable Image. We rebranded to AI Healthcare Marketing. It's a better description of who we are and what we are. We've been in the healthcare, focusing in healthcare marketing for the last 15, 20 years. Dental specific, and then med spas, and then other medical offices, things like that. The AI, Affordable Image, but it also applies to artificial intelligence and a number of other things that we've come up with over the course of time. That AI has a lot of different representations for who we are and what we do and how much energy we put into our clients and how much love we give to the clients. My team has been together for a long time. They started out when they were young, so they're still young. The group that we have now is about 15 to 20 years that they've been together working in healthcare marketing. So our knowledge base is massive, something you can't find in Google. The experience that the team has and that we all have together working in this field and getting to know doctors and their situations. And the thing that I've learned over the years, when we first started this, there was maybe us and three other people that were dental marketing and specific in dental and healthcare. Since then, I think everybody and their brother opened up a dental marketing or a healthcare marketing business out of it. And one of the things we find is just the experience, the overall experience of going through life, I guess we'll call it, with doctors, whether it's a startup, whether it's a rebrand with a client, whether it's a doctor buys an office, a transition, or an existing practice that wants to grow, maybe add a second office or a third office or plus. We just the experiences that we get. Each client's different, right? So that's the biggest thing that we talk about in our weekly meetings and even daily is you can get so honed in and focused on, oh, we just do dental, we just do healthcare. And I think that's what I see other competitors doing, just coming in and thinking, oh, it's going to be the same. Well, it's not. And that's where you can make a lot of mistakes, and that's where you can hurt your client. Every doctor has a niche, has something special about them or their practice and the office and the staff. And so we like to figure out what those things are. And sometimes those things change over the course of time. Doctors, they get continuing education credit. And so out of nowhere, we find out that the doctors have new specialties. Like maybe now they're a dentist that are doing sleep apnea, or they've added other services to their mix. And so paying attention to that, asking the right questions, because sometimes the doctors don't even tell us this. So sometimes just asking the right questions, finding out what the doctor's doing, and finding what they love. Let's talk about that. I talked about we love what we do. You know, the reason my team has stayed together so long is the passion that we have for what we do. It feels fresh every day because we love it. Dental, medical spas, it's the same concept. If they don't like what they're doing, they're not going to be happy, and it's going to reflect in their business. It's going to reflect to their staff, which is going to reflect to the customers, which is going to reflect in their marketing and that kind of a thing. So part of what we do is we try to find out what the doctors love to do. Hopefully it's something that's profitable. Even if it's not profitable, it's our job to kind of help figure out, okay, well, this is what you love to do, but here's some other things that you can make profit in, so we can support some of the things that you love to do and make them or set their campaigns up and the marketing plans up with those thoughts in mind. Is if they can enjoy what they're doing, it's just going to make everything better. Their entire business will be better, their entire practice, their customers, their patients, which are their customers. And we like to talk about that, by the way. I'm a sidestep here. There are their patients, but we as a marketing company like to explain to our doctors that these are customers. And if you treat them as customers using some of the same marketing 101 and basic marketing things and customer service things, it's going to make a huge difference in the practice, helping them set themselves apart from competitors. their competition, things like that. So I'm just talking over here, like.
No, Mike, I appreciate that. I want to take a step back for a second and say how excited we are to be meeting with you, because there's a couple different reasons why we decided to do this pod, and if you take a spoke or if you take a wheel and all the spokes leading out to the various people and types of businesses that support and advocate for doctors, and the doctor, of course, being at the center of that wheel. I'm going to put it back to you to talk a bit about how you do this, but the marketing, the demographics, the various things that you do make our jobs so much easier, and really help, in my experience or our experience, help elevate a practice success to a level that they couldn't possibly imagine without you or before you. So can you just tell us, for those people that, and we hope people are watching, but will you tell us, those who know better and those who don't, what you do?
Absolutely. So we are a marketing company, as I mentioned earlier, but we do everything from logos, branding, websites, customer search engine optimization, SEO, paid advertise, or we call it paid, like online advertising. So it's going to be paid per clicks or paid ads with Facebook, which is different than posts. We also have a separate department and products for social media posting, completely different mentality, strategy, and so on and so forth. We do direct mail still, believe it or not. A lot of people think that's old school, and it is, but it's old school made new. We put QR codes now. As y'all sure familiar with the QR code. We put QR codes on our postcards. We build a separate landing page specifically for our postcards to direct them to that landing page, and hopefully either fill out a form or call for an appointment or whatever it is we're trying to do for that client. So we modernize and use technology and artificial intelligence in some cases for even the postcards, even the old things that are made new, and pretty much anything else between. If a client, some of our clients are next to a billboard and they want a billboard advertising campaign, we'll do the marketing for them for that. Ground marketing, I love ground marketing, guerrilla marketing. There's lots of different terminologies nowadays. We love to help brainstorm with our clients for that and create marketing pieces for that. So that's just kind of it in a nutshell. I mean, the way that we look at what we do is our job. What are we selling, or what are we providing? We're providing a partnership with a doctor to take on the burden. I'm going to call it the burden of bringing revenue to the business part of the practice. So you got the clinical part and you got the business part. You got to have revenue. You got to have money coming in to be able to pay the bills, to be able to pay staff, to be able to pay their own personal bills, and so on and so forth. So we look at it from this standpoint. We aren't just sending postcards out or doing advertising or making websites or blogging or what have you. Our job overall is to bring revenue to that business. So we don't look at it like we're selling you a commodity. We're looking at it, hey, we need to bring a certain amount of business to you with the budgets that you're working with, based on the competition that you're competing against, based on your goals. Some clients have very big goals, which it's going to mean we got to have potentially bigger budgets. We got to be on top of those budgets, make sure that those budgets are being used properly, making sure that phones are being answered, tracking all that stuff. We track everything that we're able to track using all the different tools that we have at our disposal. So that's kind of that in a very large nutshell.
Sure.
So hopefully I answered your question.
Let me dive in real quick, because you've touched on a lot of different stuff, and we've worked with your team a little bit and want to continue to kind of build that relationship. But you told us some things that I wasn't aware of, that this team has been around for a while, and what that means to me is that you guys are passionate about what you're doing and care about each other and care about kind of connecting with your clients. How did you end up finding this niche, and how did you develop it and build this build this team?
In 2000, let's see, the first kind of group of three started with us in about 2005. They're all in the late 20s. I'm sorry, late teens, early 20s, and being 20 years old. I think maybe was the oldest one. And so that little group of people started. And back then, we did a lot of small business also. So healthcare was part of our small business business. Then the big Great Recession came along and wiped out most small businesses in Arizona, and our dentists were still left standing, and they were still doing very well at the time. We made some relationships in the dental industry, and started getting invited to do speaking. I got started invited to do speaking in California and other parts of the country, and all the marketing we were doing for our clients was doing very, very well throughout that whole time period. And we just kept growing and growing, got more relationships throughout the country, and started adding to our team, and slowly stopped doing small business and started doing more and more healthcare related marketing, focusing on dental. Medical spas came along quickly after that. Veterinary also came pretty quickly after that as well. And then other optometrists and primary cares, emergent cares kind of came along in that world. And we just started really focusing on it, fell in love with it. One of the things that I fell in love with immediately was, and it's still to this day, 20 some odd years later, I'm working in this industry, is there's still no education for doctors, dentists, any of them, on business or marketing. There's none. And if anything, maybe they bring one person in for one day to have a seminar maybe, or something like that. But there's no education on business or marketing, and marketing is a whole nother large piece of the puzzle that needs years of training. And so these doctors come out and they're so smart and in what they do, but they've never been taught marketing. And so what we found over the years, and to this day, they get taken advantage of. They get told what to do, what not to do, and they get taken advantage of, and it makes me upset. It makes me angry. So I've kind of taken it personally, and my team take it personally, and we want to be that company that's out there spreading the truth about marketing. That, first of all, no one can get you on first page of Google. There is no magic bullet. To this day, even with all the technology that we've had over the last 20 years, it takes time. You're not going to get. Now, if you're a pizza company, maybe I can get you business the same day because everybody's hungry 4 or 5 times a day. But dental, veterinarian, all these other things, it's a lot longer process. Takes time to build what we call a pipeline of potential patients, customers, and it takes time. And so our team just took it personally, and we look at our clients, and our goal is to get in the front end, which we love the relationship with you guys, because we get a chance to get in the front end and educate them before someone's taken $50,000 from them and spent it incorrectly or didn't spend it at all. Or they're 6 months into their practice, it's open, and no one told them along the way how important marketing was. To this day, it's still build it and they will come. Well, that's not true. If you do the math, doctor, I always have to try to talk to our doctors, is, hey, if you do the math, how many patients do you need? And what's your sphere of influence? And if you start doing the math, then math never adds up. And most of your sphere of influence is going to want discounts. Take that into the equation, and you need a lot of brand new opportunities to have patients, to build new referral trees and new referral networks to bring patients in. And to this day, we're still finding most of these doctors never learn unless there's someone like Mirlo who cares enough to educate their customers, their doctors, on what's important. And hey, there's this piece called marketing that you need to be able to have money come into your practice. And so that's kind of how that works.
Yeah, no, I mean, we obviously we got the same clients, and want to kind of help them with their transactions and make sure that they do the best, because they really have one shot at they can't sign. There's no do-overs. They sign a lease and they're stuck. They got to make
Yes.
make it work. And so, I mean, obviously we both are super passionate about helping them. Can you tell, I'm sure your team probably at your weekly meetings, you guys trade war stories and talk about awesome client stories, but can you share a few that really?
Yeah, and actually, you kind of touched about the demographic reports and how important those are, and having a team, real estate knowledge and comprehensive knowledge, not just the knowledge of how the deal goes together, but also the knowledge of the market, and and working with a company like ours that can provide data and information on where that client can do well. And so, a lot of the war stories are, they come in, a doctor was sold a practice, sign on the dotted line. In their mind, when we ask the question, well, who's your patient, doctor? Everyone's my patient, everyone that has teeth. Okay, well, that's just true on one hand. The other hand, let's talk about who you work well with and what your service sets are and what your passions are. And come to find out, we asked them, do you like working with children? Oh, I love working with children. Okay, how about young children? How about infants or not infants, 1 to 3 years old, toddlers? Oh, no, I can't do hot toddlers. Okay, how about young teens or tweens? No, I don't want anybody in my office making messes and breaking things. I'm gonna have a nice office. Okay, how about teenagers? No, I don't do well with teenagers. Well, now you just took away the kids, so now we don't want kids. Oh, but you happen to be in a massive area, 5-mile radius of all families with children. So that's going to make things a little more difficult now. Whereas if we knew that going in and the real estate office knew that going in, come to find out after asking these questions, thinking the doctor wanted young kids, they really worked better with older patients, with that they want to do more implants and more cosmetic type dentistry and more educational things to some of the older patients. When in the beginning they thought everybody was their patient. Come to find out it wasn't. And so now as a marketing company, we got to look at that and we got to be, okay, well, hopefully we can find some areas that are close. Maybe it's outside the radius. Now we market to, instead of marketing a mile down the road, we might have to market 5 or 6 miles or 10 miles down the road, and we have to spend more money to try to get, more patients, to bring those patients in, and have them drive through families, things like that. And so those are a lot of the difficult, and it works both ways. I don't know how many doctors ended up in an older community with no families with children. Maybe there's one little cluster of brand new, maybe some brand new buildings that went, or brand new house build that had some families in it, but the rest of it was really older, been there for 55 years, 85 years, these communities. And so a lot of older people without children in these communities. And so that's the worst part about it, is when a doctor thinks that the area is going to be great for them just based on whatever they were told or whatever feeling that they had. And then we have to give them the reality of the patients just aren't there. Like, here's the evidence. Let's pull the evidence, demographic reports. Here's what it shows. And that's not a fun place to be.
No. And how about on the other side of these scenarios? Can you talk to us about a couple of happy stories or great experiences where you really got to see your impact on display in a way that's that really drives us doing what we do?
Sure. And actually, I'm going to start out with a sad story, and this probably happens 1 out of 20 times, where we get a doctor who is so stressed out and to the point of wanting to kill themselves. And they'll tell my team that, like, I should never have done this. I should never have taken on this. It even goes back to, I should have never taken on the debt of a student loan, because, most of us are aware of the amount of student loans that these doctors end up with. It's in the hundreds of thousands of dollars. It starts there. And then now they're talking about, adding another, hundreds of thousands of dollars to their, by the time they're done, they're $1 million in debt. And so there's nothing better than when my team has a conversation with that doctor, and it goes back to what I told you. We don't just sell postcards. We don't sell postcards. We don't sell advertising. We don't sell websites. We're a partner. We're a partner that carries the burden of bringing revenue to the company. So when we can have conversations with the doctor and say, hey, doctor, we're going to help you. We're going to take on the brain power for you. You're going to have to have some participation in here. You're going to have to answer some questions, but we're going to drive it. We're going to take that. We're going to help you. And we're going to we're going to even show you how we can bring patients, make your phone ring, and get people to fill out forms so that your team can call and make appointments. And if once you show somebody that, and we can do math with them if we need to be able to show them, hey, our goal is to get 20 patients a month, 30 patients a month. And then, oh, doctor, by the way, let's take those 20 patients and let's make it a goal for your team to get one referral out of every one a month. Now that $20 or that 20 patients you just spent with us, now you got 40 patients out of it. And guess what? The new ones that came in, they also have their own friends and their own sphere of influence. Maybe you can get 10 out of those. And now all of a sudden that 20 turned into 100, right? And so we're growing, like to call them referral trees, because you plant a seed, the one little seed, and that one little seed may have one or two referrals, and then those referrals grow and it grows and it grows and it grows. And at some point it gets big, and then it kind of just doesn't, it is what it is. And that's why you need new patients coming in, right? You need those new patients to keep growing your forest, your trees. You also have, people leaving the practice that you're not even aware of. And it even happens immediately. Even as a startup. And these where some of these clients don't realize that, they're getting new patients, but people move, things happen, financially or what have you. So yes, you're getting new patients, but you're still losing patients. So there's that we have to work through. But once we educate the doctor and they get they understand the knowledge that the team has. We have experts in social media, experts in search engine optimization, experts in in design and all these different things. When they talk to them and they get that education, they're like, okay, good. I don't have to worry about this. You guys are going to ask me. We're proactive. That's the other word I like to use. We're a proactive organization. We like to be proactive with our clients when we ask them questions and learn from them and help them along the way. If we can help them, it's all the difference in the world. And so I would say that's the good news. The other stories is the best story is when they come when we get your clients, because you've already told them in the beginning. They don't have to learn the hard way. They know that they need to have a budget for marketing. That's the other thing that happens. A lot of times they have no idea they need a budget for marketing. They think they need maybe $2,000 or no $1,000 done, and come to find out they need $30,000 for that first year, or $40,000 or $50,000 potentially, depending upon the competition level that they're in. Part of this, I know the services you guys provide, you're educating the clients on that. And when they meet us for the first time, there's not that gut punch that it can feel when they've created their budget. Sometimes we get a referral from somebody who does what you do in another market, and they didn't tell them about our part of the budget, and they max their budget out, and there's nothing left for marketing. And we have to ask that client, well, how are you going to get patients? And no one asks them that. That's horrific. So, but when they come to you, from you guys, where they're educated like that and they're aware, now they're excited. So they come to us excited. Okay, Nick and Remy told me that we had to have marketing, and I'm excited about it. We can't wait to work with your team. That's the best. That's obviously the best. That's the goal. That's why we have these. That's why I'm thankful, Nick, that you invited me to this podcast and that you're working with my team so we can help educate your clients. The other thing is, and we always looked at it this way, we're not going to win every client that we talk to, but if we can educate them, at some point we're going to turn that tide. We're going to push the tipping point over to where more people are educated about marketing. And so if someone doesn't do business with us, that's fine. At least we educated them and they understand going in, what they do need, and so on and so forth.
I think the hardest part for dentists and other healthcare professionals when they're in this situation is that there's just there's not a manual, like navigating these types of issues, or starting up, or whether they decide to start up or whether they decide to buy a practice. There's different things that come up, but they really need to know that they need to have a top-notch team that can really to help address all the different types of things that come up, because you just never really know. I mean, think one of the things in working with your team in the past is, and that aligns well with ours is, and our team, we kind of call it the Goldilocks, effect or whatever, where we it's about timing. If you're too early, it really doesn't mean anything. If you're too late, you're in a bad spot. You gotta start gathering information, but having, so that you can, when you transact, you're going to get the best deal at a certain point. But the same kind of goes for you, where you can't be, if you're behind the eight ball, you can't really. It's not as easy. You want to really. It sounds like really do what it takes to kind of flush out the information that you need, so that you can really help provide.
I don't want to interrupt you, but I want to touch on timing. I'm glad you said that, and I never quite heard it that way before, which is why I want to stop you here for a second. Is we talked about money is a resource, right? It's a finite resource, but so is time, and so is energy, and I'm going to call it brain power. So when doctors have a limited amount of energy, they have a limited amount of brain power. They're getting overwhelmed. And I love that you guys, that's another reason I love working with you guys, because you understand when it's time to bring someone in and utilize the brain power properly, instead of getting them overwhelmed with everybody calling them and talking to them through the things, because we need their brain to be open somewhat, to be able to answer critical questions. and that timing is everything. And it's not just timing of make sure we do 6 months, before it opens, or 9 months before the practice opens. Part of that timing is the brain power, the energy level that it takes. We like to start in the beginning, where we have some brain power available from the doctor before they get deep into the state on a startup, where they get deep into where the construction's happening, and that's all that they have time to think about. So if we can get in the beginning, get the strategy put together, get the look and the graphics all signed off, and really get the whole campaign ready to go months before it's ready. So then when they're ready, we're launching even 3 months potentially. And as in the practice, we've had them launch 6 months and earlier, because the doctors were ready and they wanted to start doing community outreach and start building up relationships and have little events and things. But a lot of, again, it goes back to limited resources. Not everybody has time. A lot of people are brand new, newlyweds, children that they have. So they have a limited amount of time. And so we also understand that as a team, to try to utilize that time it's critical, the critical time that they have, to utilize it for the critical things that we need from them. And so I love that part. I think that's such a big part of it that nobody talks about and nobody thinks about. So I definitely love the doctors to be able to hear that part, and that they understand they can rely on you to help them, the timing, and when to bring the different parts and pieces into the place.
So I've, over the years, and it's more, this is happening, having more of these conversations recently than I ever have with doctors. And I think Nick and I have the same experience here. So you have these two very different generations of doctors, and then obviously the transition, the gray area between, right? So you have the doctors that you have associates who are becoming practice owners earlier in their career, and then you've got established doctors who are in the later stages of their careers, and the technology gap is evident, right? And it's self-admitted. Like, these are conversations I had with, we had with the doctor just this past Friday, where they don't. This is a doctor that's later in their career, and they did not grow up, so to speak, with technology, with these tools, the marketing tools, the demographic reports, all of the things to help make decisions, and then establish the practice and grow them. And so, and those doctors are faced with having to adopt these technologies that are really foreign to them, or try to understand the value across them. Can you talk to us a little bit about what you're seeing? Like, I get selling and providing our services to, the younger doctors, but what about the other doctors? Where's your business coming from in both those things?
It's definitely a mix. Startups we talked about, transitions also, but existing practices, doctors that the older doctors that are wanting to sell their practices are great opportunities for us to be able to talk to them if they're planning ahead. What happens too often is a lot of these doctors that are selling their practice, they throttle down. And then when they go to sell their practice, they just lost out on hundreds of thousands of dollars of revenue, of sales that they could have sold their practice versus ramping it up. So the ones that get it and understand and get educated, it's all about education at the end of the day. If they understand that, hey, 5 years before I want to sell my practice, crank this thing up, and I can sell my practice for another $100,000, $200,000, $300,000 and make it easier to sell the practice timing wise, instead of it sitting on the market for a year and I have to lower my price. If it's a good practice that's running and it's rolling, I'm going to sell it quicker also. So those are great opportunities for us. And yes, a lot of them are older. They don't get the technology. And again, that's fine. Usually somebody inside the practice is going to be younger. That's going to be that torch carrier for them, for the technology that will work with them on dashboards. So we have dashboards that have all information about the marketing campaign, so the clients can see it real time. Some of the stuff's real time and some of it's monthly dashboards. And we'll meet with the clients. We like to meet with them at least once a quarter at a minimum, some cases once a month, to go over the reports and get that information that we talked about earlier. Like, hey, have you done anything? Have you added any pieces of equipment? Have you added any education or what have you? So, but we'll work. Usually we'll ask, do you have someone in your practice that's your computer person, your IT person, your smartphone person, that will work with us in that case, or we'll help. Either way, we'll help them. Occasionally, you get a client that nobody's technology savvy, and we'll walk them through it. We'll we'll show them how to do a screen share. We'll walk them through it. Things that need to be done. Getting passwords. I'm gonna throw that out right now. That's the biggest thing that's happening right now. Is I need to get this to the world right now. So these doctors, they're letting their staff get the password, set up their accounts for Google, Facebook, Instagram, GoDaddy, their domain names. They're also letting their marketing companies set them up. So guess who owns those? Whoever set them up. The marketing companies are owning them. And guess what? They're holding them hostage. I'm seeing that way too much. I'm going to say it's 80% I'm seeing in marketing companies, which is absolutely, I can't comprehend my industry does this to people. But they're taking advantage of people. So that's problem one, but also their staff. They're letting somebody, and then those people quit. And the email that they put it to is some random Yahoo email somewhere, and all that work and all that effort that was done is gone. You got to start from scratch. And
that's a great PSA.
So much. So I'm going to tell you, please add that to your checklist, to your clients, to do not allow anybody but yourself to have an email. Don't put it in your one random email doctor that goes to spam or whatever, all your junk email. It's got to be your email that you're going to keep for the rest of your practice's life, because that's where the security goes to. If something's lost, you can't find it. And it's virtually impossible for even us. We have relationships. We have internal relationships with all these, with Facebook and all of them. And even with those relationships, it doesn't matter if we don't have that information. So yeah, please get that out there. So it's talk about a horrific. That's horrific to see that and hear that.
Thanks, Mike.
That's huge. That's huge.
Yep.
We've talked a lot about business. I mean, we can ask a bunch more questions. We haven't really talked anything personally or any fun stuff. Obviously, I mean, we do this, we do what we do, and I'm sure it's pretty similar for you. We want to help our client. We want them to succeed. I'm sure you guys get some awesome testimonials, awesome compliments. Anything you want to shout out?
I mean, we get video testimonials, in addition to our Google reviews. I love our Google reviews, but I love our video testimonials. I tell my team, anytime we get a review, whether it's a Google review, a written one, or even more so a video testimonial from a client, from a doctor specifically, I have to tell them we have to even have more value for those, because not only how busy these clients are, I always have to remind my people, hey, our clients are doctors. They're really busy.
Yeah.
They've got a lot more on their plate, more important things to do. When you think you're busy and you're going crazy, you're not busy. You're not a doctor. These doctors are running businesses. They got families. They got all the same things that we all do, but they're also doctors with patients that have stressful situations and all those things. And so to think about a doctor spending, even if it's 2 minutes to write something, 5 minutes to do something, and a lot of the personality profiles aren't necessarily those that are going to give kudos. And to get a kudos from a lot of these clients who don't necessarily have that personality profile, that means the world to us, and that just validates back to what I started when we started this 20 years, when we decided to get into healthcare 20 some odd years ago and focus in on it, is that we're doing the right things. If we're getting those compliments and those things back, that we're actually the mission is working, that we're here to help them carry that burden with them and give them some peace. I think that's the other thing I want to throw out there. Whatever the other part of that we want to do is give them some sense of peace. Like, hey, I can't help you with your patients, but we can help you with, having knowledge of, where your new patients are going to come from. We can give you information if your phones aren't being answered, because we're tracking your phones, where we're able to. But we can give you information, maybe the campaigns aren't doing as well as we want. We'll be able to see that even before you see it. We'll be able to correct it and make changes along the way. Those are the things that we can do, doctor, for you. We're looking at that for you so that, you can sleep at night, as far as that part's concerned. And I think that's the biggest thing that we want to get across, and that we want to continue to do, and that we've done with the reviews.
Talk to us about the what the demographic reports can actually say, how you guys can read them when it comes to competition, or where growth is going to be, and how they can better make decisions based on that, because it's to us helping our clients have the right data to make the most important decision of their professional career is one of the biggest challenges.
There's so much data out there now. It's scary. We can even get data of, so when you're signing the fine print for your credit cards and for Experian and TransUnion, somewhere you're most likely signing off your rights to your own data. So we can get information of how many diapers are being bought in an area if we want it. I mean, it costs money to get certain data points like that, but we can get crazy. How many people are buying cigarettes? How many people are buying car repair? We can get information on types of cars. How many BMWs are in the area that are 19, or that are the old ones versus the new one. Like, there's all kinds of really micro data points we could do. And it can be overwhelming for the client. And for the most part, we don't need that for most of what we do. For most of what we need more basic information. It's going to be gender. It's going to be age, average age. It's going to be households, how many households actually have children, average ages of the children. That helps us, gives us information based on what we talked about earlier, what types of patients the clients are looking for, average incomes, average households. So we might find an area that the average income is zero virtually, but the households are $1 million. Well, what does that tell you? The people are in their 60s or what have you. What does that tell us? It tells us most likely, without having to spend a bunch of money on other data points, that those are retirees, that they're getting income somewhere else, that they're not getting, that they don't need that income because they already have some other income source. They paid their houses off and things like that. So they're living lives and they have money, and they might be great. Those are going to be great opportunities for dentists, for med spas, for the different types of doctors to communicate to. And you're going to communicate a message differently to those people than you are to the patients with families. You're going to communicate different to the super young kids than you are to the ones with teenagers. You're going to communicate differently to a 30-year-old, to the 30-year-olds than you are to the 50-year-olds. That's the other piece that we have learned over the years. There's no one size fits all message. Each message is different. And so we do have doctors that actually like the range. A lot, part of their enjoyment is having kids, having really older people, and having middle people. And so, we'll have multiple campaigns going with messages that go to those people. What I should have started with was marketing is a message. That's one thing people don't comprehend. Well, what's marketing? Well, marketing is communication. It's giving messaging via all sorts of things. The messaging can come from words, can come from videos, but it can also come from the look of your practice. That's where you guys come in. You guys are actually selling marketing too. How are you doing that? The type of building that you're putting them in, the type of office, the area that you're putting them, the signage that they're going to be able to have access to. Those kind of things are the marketing. What's it going to look like inside? That's not necessarily part of what you're doing, but maybe, maybe it is, because there's limited things. Some of that, as we've learned from our doctors, there's little limited things that you can do inside of a practice, TIs that can be done inside of a practice, right? And so you guys, if a doctor wants to put across, hey, I'm a high-end office, maybe they can't do certain things. Maybe they can't put a fish tank in there like they thought they could, or a waterfall or whatever. That's marketing, and that's part of a message that you're putting out there, an aura. You want that to work with a brand, with your logo, with the way that your website looks, with all the marketing pieces that you're doing, so on and so forth. There you go.
Yeah, I appreciate Nick's question and your answer about the demographics in particular, because I find two things come to mind. One is when I'm having conversations with doctors, inevitably when I describe how impactful the information can be and how powerful, the household penetration and the data that how deep of a dive you can really go. The response is often like, that's scary. Sometimes I preemptively say it's scary, but it's scary awesome. And the other thing is, I love, and this is again just my experience, when we like to sit in on the follow-up to the demographic reports when they're sent out, and some of the information is apparent and easily understood, but much of it isn't and needs to be interpreted. And so being on those calls where you're walking us through what the data means and what to draw from it is always it helps us do a better job at our job. And it's just fascinating to understand what you're able to see, the way a doctor reads, an X-ray. And so,
yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. The data is interpretable, and there's so many factors that are involved. There is no manual. We talked about a manual. There's no manual. There's no black. There's no white. We don't like just giving a demographic report and let the doctor interpret. It's useless to them. It's like giving an X-ray to somebody, right? It's completely useless. So we like to walk them through it. And part of it is asking questions along the way and learning about the client, what they're thinking, what they're wanting. We could be in an area, there could be an area that they're so set on that they want to be in that at first glance, it's saturated. It appears to be saturated. There's so many dentists, if you do the math on it, it's 200 patients per practice, something silly like that. Sometimes we see, and we may look at that and then we start looking a little more deeper and we find out, okay, half of these people have been here for, the doctors are probably in their 60s or 70s. So maybe they do have 200 patients. So now we almost take those out of the mix, out of the numbers, and start looking at different numbers and start kind of calculating and be like, okay, here's, there's some other newer areas. We can also get data on potential growth of an area. Hey, this area potentially has another 10% growth, or maybe it may lose some. Some areas are going down. We may see that, but a doctor's still dead set on doing that. Well, it's my team's job to look at that data and find something somewhere that we can use, that we can connect to, that with the messaging, that we can have a message from that client, from that practice to try to go and market to, and to get those types of patients to come into practice. We still know, based on surveys and data, that half the population still doesn't go to the dentist. Or are adverse to going to doctors and things, or even in med spas. Like, there's the education of what med spas can do. It's very small. So there's still a big opportunity out there of people that aren't even aware of your service or don't necessarily know or want to do your service, where education comes into play, where you can pick up patients based on doing a little more education type marketing than you would just throwing, hey, I'm a dentist out here, or hey, I'm a doctor. So there's so many different ways to attack it, to attack from a strategic standpoint, a marketing campaign. Now, that being said, it may cost a little more money.
Sure.
Hey doctor, yeah, you're in this area, you're dead set. I mean, the competition's crazy here. We do see ways to get you some business. We may have to go a little bit outside and try to get people to drive a little further than they normally would. You may have to put an offer together that you might not normally to try to get those people in. So there's a little more cost there. I'll have to spend some more money. Instead of spending, $3,000 a month on marketing, we have to spend $5,000 a month on marketing to bring the people in. But let's do the math on here. Okay, it's still a great opportunity for you. And if all the other pieces are in place in your business, your clinical side, it can still be a very profitable practice for you. And then looking at the future is, hey, there's going to be a lot of these older ones that are going to fall off. Maybe they're going to sell, maybe they're not. A lot of these ones are so old, and they'll probably combine, because they're so small. They did what I told you not to, for our clients not to do, is they did in market. They stopped, and their business is just dying. Somebody's going to go buy the patients, the 300 patients that are left, and bring them into that place. So you can start seeing where they're going to be.
That's a really interesting point, because you think that, I think a lot of them, the patients, even they know it's like, hey, what's going on? They start to realize, like, what if they might they don't know that their dentist or doctor is retiring, but they kind of know it's on the horizon. Yeah. So they might be more prone to start thinking about, hey, what happens if we get a letter that says, hey, and so that's an interesting.
Yeah. So like I said, at first glance, you can never take first glance. You got to look at it, analyze it, think about it, think it through. Sometimes getting, if we have inside information about an area, like, hey, we know that this area, you guys can come and give us some information. Hey, this specific area, they're talking about rehabbing it. And so, maybe the downtown area might get is set up for a rehab in the next year or two. So first glance, this is not a good area, but hey, in 2 years or 3 years, this is going to be an amazing area. Let's maybe get the doctor in now while the prices are down. And hey, marketing company, how can we get this doctor some business while that's happening? Well, this transition is happening. Okay, well, let's look at the other areas. Maybe we can pull some people in, from some other areas while that's happening. There's just the infinite number. It goes back to the book. There is no book on anything we do. There's no book on what you do. There's no book on what we do, because there's literally an infinite number of things that affect everything, that make changes, for all of the choices that we make.
All right. So it's time for the $1 million question. This is what people tune in and listen for. So, and it's my favorite question, and because of the answers that we get. So what would your parents or your children or your spouse, how would they describe what you do for a living?
Ooh. How would they describe what I would do for a living? That's interesting. Wow. Yeah, I wish this was I wish you guys gave me this one on my form before I talk to you guys. I love this.
We got to keep you on your toes.
We want to keep you on your toes for sure.
This is a fun question. And
well, I'm going to tell. So my son, he's 30 now. He works for a military organization that builds military vehicles, and he hates his job. Like, he hates his job, and he hates me that I love my job. He literally, almost every day, every week we talk, and he's like, I hate you, Dad. How do you love what you do? I'm like, you should have stayed in the market. You should have stayed in the family business, son.
Is there something specifically that is so inspiring, or that it's rewarding about what you're doing, that makes you feel that way?
It's a mission. I look at my business as a mission field. That mission field encompasses a number of things. Part of it is loving people, caring for people, whether it's my team, their families, whether it's my partners like you guys, putting an extra effort and helping, and helping our people that are helping us, and then of course our clients, like we talked about. That passion that drives us is to help these doctors that if they haven't been taken advantage of, the probability of them being taken advantage of is very high in our industry. So we look at it as a mission field. My whole team looks at it that way. And I think that's what drives me to keep doing what I do and trying to get better and staying ahead and of the competition and paying attention to what's happening out there, because we care. And at the end of the day, we care. We love what we do because we love people, and we want to make people success. We want people around us to be successful. So I would say that's my so to answer your question. My son would say my dad loves his job so much I hate him.
That's a great answer.
Well, he's got some soul searching. Maybe he can, go on a vision quest and
I've got all kinds of stuff. Yeah, I'm a marketing guy. I've got all kinds of ideas for him. He's got to have his little 9-to-5 paycheck and his.
I was going to ask you this question, but maybe we should be pulling him on this show and asking him, if you could talk to your 20-year-old self, what would you tell him? But that's so really, like, we covered. I know you guys have actually quite a few different packages and solutions to a lot of different problems. One of the ones that you mentioned, which I didn't even recognize, which was really interesting to hear, was that when you described the different, when you're marketing to different demographics, they respond to you can't do them all the same way. And so we've never, even with our marketing, we never really thought about that, even though we have a kind of a wide range, whether we're marketing towards, mid-career or early or, late career tax. Our stuff is all kind of, somewhat generic. And so it's interesting to hear that, and maybe you have an example or two of how you actually do that you could share with us.
Well, the best example we try to give a doctor and dentist specifically, because this happens in dentistry, where they send out an advertisement, whether it's a postcard or a flyer or an advertising piece or something somewhere that has denture specials, and it has like a young child special, and it has a picture of a really old person and a really young person. Great, you're trying to show the family aspect of it, but what you have there is you got a picture of the denture, and then you have orthodontics over here. Well, guess what? The parents are looking at the denture and they're deleting the ad, they're throwing the postcard in the garbage, and the old people are seeing this child on the postcard, and they're throwing it in maybe the best offer ever for a denture, but the old person's throwing the garbage because they see a child on there, and vice versa. The parents like, denture, garbage. They're seeing what doesn't connect with them first. They're tuning out. Think about how much time we have nowadays. There's so much data. There's so much stuff coming at us all day long. Attention spans are super, super low. You've got fractions of a second, and Google actually gives us information. It's interesting, as our Google Analytics tells us we have fractions of seconds to capture someone's attention on a website. And so the image, the way it looks, is everything. So you could spend thousands and thousands of dollars in advertising, but if your imagery, if your message does not connect with that particular audience, you just threw your money away. So having a message that connects with, in this day and age when we're getting inundated, even the freaking watches have ads now. Like, you can't go anywhere without, even if you go to the gym without your watch, you're still getting marketed to. You've got ads everywhere. In the bathrooms, I'm getting an ad when I'm going to the bathroom.
So yeah, I mean it's everywhere. But going back to that point, like, so I'm a dentist. I have 2,500 patients. You would advise me to splice them into groups and actually, or with my outreach marketing, that it wasn't even towards my patients, that it would be that fine-tuned.
It would be that fine-tuned, especially in today's market, especially with competition that's coming more and more for every business. Dentistry is no different. We're all so you always want to stay ahead of your competitors. One of the ways to do that is to be super targeted in your message that's each specific subset. And it's, you get really, really, really tight in your subset. But for a dentist, part of that is the questions we ask them, what do you enjoy working with? Who do you enjoy working with the most? What's your best profit margin services that we can figure out how to, maybe we can't implants. A lot of them will say, most of them are going to say that. Well, that's sometimes it's hard to get a direct person to come in and implants because there's so much education to do on a patient for a patient. But if we can get them in somewhere else in a cleaning or something where you can then educate them in the office, you can turn those into patients. But knowing the types of patients that they're wanting for the types of services, we tailor a message and can focus in on that. And sometimes we do have multiple. There's clients that we have 2 or 3 or 4 different campaigns going to different, not just ages, but genders, dollar amount or incomes and things like that.
What we're kind of running up on an hour here, but we can keep going if you want. I mean, what I would ask you really is, what should we have asked you that we didn't, and or is there anything special that you want to put out? Or
I'm going to say, I love this format where it was very different. I mean, a lot of formats are very tight and very bullet. I love how you, I love that we didn't even talk, I have no idea what we were going to talk about. That's my favorite. A lot of people can't work in that way. A lot of people have to have a PowerPoint. I don't do good with PowerPoints.
Well, you're in marketing and we're in real estate sales, so we both know how to talk, I guess.
So there is that part, but no, I like that it's natural. I like how you let this be a natural conversation and let the natural part of whatever came out. I wouldn't change anything. I don't know that I would add much to it. I feel the way that you guys did this, and it's a very I'll put my marketing hat on. It was a very natural YouTube type versus a produced video, or a very again, a lot of these podcasts, and you've seen them, I'm sure, they're very tight. They're very bullet, where you're just following a script. This, the way that you've done this is very very fun and very open and very energized, because you didn't put any constraints on it. There was 0 constraints to this, the way that you did it. And I think doing that, we got some cool stuff that I haven't never really been asked, or I didn't even think to talk about before, because there were so many constraints before on, we got to cover this, you let the conversation flow to wherever. And we both came up with some what I learned about you guys, and I never thought about the timing about timing for these clients, even from our perspective, because we want to get in there, right? We want to get in there. Well, there's no point in us getting in there if the client's not ready to talk about our part of what we do for them, and who's going to best know when the time is going to be you guys. So I learned something today too.
No, Mike, you made this easy, and we decided to do this because we wanted to share our network with whoever was interested in listening, and whoever thought that it might be helpful for them, doctors and people that work with doctors. And so I turned to Nick and I said, Nick, an hour? I don't know. I think maybe we'll be able to do this for 20 minutes, 30 minutes. I can't, there's no way we're going to be able to spend an hour with somebody. It's, and so the joke's on me, and because this is a conversation we had just last week, and here we are. So again,
no, we breezed through. It was pretty quick, actually.
Yeah. I wouldn't change anything. I honestly wouldn't add anything, because you let the energy flow, you let the passion flow. Myself, your passions together. I think that the way that you did it, I love what we just did. I love that. I think. Thank you. I appreciate it. I know Ingrid and Allie and Desra love you guys and appreciate you, and we want to help you wherever we can too. So we're definitely, once this is up and running, we'll be putting this obviously out to our group as well.
Cool.
Getting this out there, and if you need any help, or you need landing pages made or whatever, we can help you with that, of course. And then obviously we're still here to help you with your demographic reports. Send them our way. I know sometimes the doctors are it's such the beginning that the doctors don't even know where to start. And I think I saw one. Did I see one out of my side eye? that there's a doctor right now. I think I kind of saw I didn't get to get into it. I know my team's talking back and forth about it. I really didn't get to read the whole thing, but I got the gist that it's a client that's really doesn't know, and it's a very
kind of trying to figure out, wants to be a half an hour from where she lives, but normally I would want to bring you guys into the fold, once we have kind of narrowed that focus. But right now, this specific case is one where it's kind of the situation where maybe on a just from demographic perspective, it makes sense at a very high level to kind of understand these different municipalities, so we can kind of narrow it down to 3 or 4 or less, and kind of focus on the real estate from there, because otherwise would be, because I think that really it is the types of questions I think that you're going to ask are about even the practice and how they envision their future practice. It's going to really help. It's really going to help kind of tell that story, because they're going to, right now, if someone's been an associate for 8 or 10 years, it's their opportunity to really brand themselves and do their own thing. And so this is going to be a cool opportunity for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Whatever information you can give the team be helpful, that maybe and we did talk about. I did see that in there. I did see someone just say, "Hey, maybe before we pull anything, we need to have a conversation with the customer." I don't know where that's at, but we kind of talked about, like, we could pull 85 things and not one hit the mark. Like, maybe we need to have a conversation to understand what the customer's thinking, to help us, help the team look, and also you, because you guys may be like, okay, this is going to be the area. Maybe us asking the right questions is also going to help you guys be like, oh, you know what? We just talked about it. Maybe there's an up and coming area that no one knows about, or maybe there's areas that do have some availability or not as competent. Yeah, does not have as much competition as others that you guys are aware of, that maybe we can focus in on, and things like that. I think that's where us working together as a team, where we can ask our questions, you guys can jump in. So anyways, I don't know what the team ended up or where they're at with that. That's how it's supposed to be. I mean, really, we both kind of deal in data points, and we need to be able to help our clients be the best that they can be at their business. And we have to provide them the best tools, and a lot of that is these data points, so that they can we can help them kind of create a decision-making matrix, so ultimately they make the best decision for their practice at that particular time. And so that's I want to add one quick thing. Basically, one of the questions you asked, why do I love what I do, is just this right here. Is I'm going to say every single day there's something that comes across just me, and I'm same thing with my team, that not only do I not know the answer to, that I have no idea. Like, I don't have any idea how to, like, when I first saw kind of that communication, I'm like, I'm not even going to read this right now, because I don't have the energy for it. I'm like, I don't even know what to do. And I think that's what I also love about it, is there's not just something new every day or different, like people say. I literally every day I'm like, I don't even know the answer, and I've been doing this for 30 years. Like, I've been doing marketing for 35 years, and I've been doing this in medical for 25 years. Every day, it's usually I don't know. I have no clue. But I do know is I have enough knowledge base to start asking questions, start narrowing things down, and getting, I have enough team to go to and ask questions to get information and they narrow it down. So I love that part. It's time consuming. One can be time consuming, but it does keep the brain moving, and it's not just that's not the same thing every day. It's literally something different every day. So it kind of makes it interesting. But
love it.
And I can't Google. That's the other thing of the team. There's a lot of stuff we have. I can't Google it. There's no Google answers. We all have to figure it out, and there's not a right answer half the time.
Yeah.
Sure, you guys experience that too. But no, I love it. I'm glad you invited me on this. I truly appreciate this opportunity, and we're here to help however we can, like whatever you think we can do to brainstorm with you and your client.
Yeah, this
you don't get anything with you guys, because we've learned as I said in the beginning, I told this to my team. On one hand, it's hard as my sales team getting so far ahead, because like you said, it's so, we don't have the answers necessarily. But hey, we're building relationships, we're educating, and it goes back to I have to tell my team, hey, even if that customer doesn't become a customer or of ours, we're educating them. You're getting educated by osmosis if you're listening in a conversation, which is going to help us too as we grow. And because we've done this so long as a group, I always have to tell my team, we all have the intentions of continuing on for the next 20 or 30 years, building the relationships like we are with you and educating you and you educating us. We're learning things from you guys that can help us do better and help the clients. It's the time invested may not pay off today, may not pay off tomorrow, but it's going to pay off at some point. And that's how we look at it.
Love it.
Yeah, here to help however we can, gentlemen.
Cool. Well, super appreciative and can't wait to hopefully do this again sometime.
Yeah.
I